The number cannot be reached now. Please hang up and try again later.
Oh, hi. Welcome back to His Lost Hotline, the podcast where we talk about breakups and spirals and the kind of healing that doesn't really look like a TikTok montage. I wish it did, because it would be a lot easier if it was like a TikTok montage. Last week, I told you why I finally hung up my very unglamorous, very real exit from my marriage. This week, I want to talk about what comes after you hang up. It's not going to be pretty. So the crying, the chaos, the attempts at like reinvention and like looking put together, and yeah, because the truth is, when you picture healing in your head, you probably kind of imagine the calm part at the end, just like peaceful mornings and coffee and perfect skin and a sense of self-worth, essentially. But you don't get there by skipping the part where you're spiraling and crying and, you know, Googling, is it normal to cry this much at 3 a.m.? I'm not saying I've done that, but I'm not saying I haven't. So, we're going to get into it. I have my McDonald's Diet Dr. Pepper. I was a Diet Coke girl, but I've been on a Diet Dr. Pepper kick, recently. And I'm armed with that and my brain. So we're in for a treat. Well, breakups, like truly, especially divorces, honestly, it kind of feels like you turn into like a public figure overnight. I know that sounds so dramatic, but you've stalked those like friends or like acquaintances that all of a sudden their bio changes, or there's no last name in their username. People truly treat your pain like it's a storyline they get to follow. And like, I'm going to be honest, I've done it too, where I've looked at other people's, but now you're the person. They think, or at least I've looked for, like, has she deleted the pictures? Did she post a thirst trap? Did she change her username? Oh my God, she got bangs. I didn't get bangs. I did get extensions and some tattoos after my divorce. But like, that was because, honestly, fuck it. But like, even people you really haven't talked to since high school, like, suddenly pop up and they're like, hey babe, just checking in, which is code for, hey, tell me everything about your life, and give me all the drama. And hey, now I'm just doing that on a podcast, so why the fuck not? But like, at first you might play into it, maybe like posting a hot selfie, or like a cryptic quote, which I've done, which is so embarrassing to say, but you know, healing is weird, but like, you make it look like you're fine, because being fine feels safer than letting people see you unravel. And like I've said before, like, grief is not linear. I fucking wish it was linear. I literally told my therapist, I said, if grief was linear, my life would be so much easier, because then I could know, you know, what's coming next, or how I feel, or what I'm doing. But it's not. There's no roadmap for it. And when you're healing kind of with an audience, it's so easy to start performing for them. You kind of edit your emotions to be palatable, and you only post on your quote unquote like good days. You start thinking, yeah, so there's a correct order to this. And spoiler, there's really not, unfortunately, like I said. There's no formula for healing. I truly wish there was. But also, it's kind of like where the most growth you have is in the traumatic middle, unfortunately. And sometimes you think you're past it. And then a song you haven't heard since high school maybe comes on and you're sobbing. You're sobbing. This literally happened to me the other night. It's just so embarrassing. And I'm like a year out of my like filing for divorce. My divorce was finalized this year in February. But Taylor Swift came on. Obviously it's going to be a Taylor Swift song. It's LOML, which is Love of My Life, but it's supposed to be Loss of My Life. Essentially, it's this whole song about how you are the loss of their life and things like that. But I was watching The Summer I Turned Pretty, and they played a Billie Eilish song. I think it was episode 4 or something. And then I played that Billie Eilish song because it was really fucking sad. And then I played that Taylor Swift song. And all of a sudden, I just started sobbing. Fucking sobbing. And I haven't done that in such a long time. Such a long time. And I even talked to my therapist about it and said, like, it feels like I'm almost kind of going backwards. And he's like, that's not it at all. That's actually you going through your grief and feeling it and healing. But I won't get into how I also put my wedding dress on. That was like very dramatic and was a choice. Not a very good one. It did actually make me stop crying, which I don't know what that says about me, but whatever. But like, here's like the truth of it all. It's like, you don't have to look like you're healing to actually be healing. You don't even have to explain your progress. You can disappear and come back for come back 6 months later or something with bangs, maybe a tattoo, a new lease, and like no PowerPoint presentation on where you've been. After I filed for divorce, my life was basically split into realities. So there was like technically like the internal reality. So it was like the grief, the trauma, the processing, the fact that every conversation with him was like almost like a mental landmine in a way. And then there was the external reality. There were bills, leases, people waiting for updates. Honestly, it felt like a celeb for a hot sec. Not really. Maybe if it was like specifically for heartbreak, but like I had, as I mentioned, 2 therapists, not because I was thriving, but because I was unraveling. One worked with the actual trauma. The other essentially was my life support therapist. Shout out Earl. Earl's a legend in my family and also in my group of friends. They know him too. Sounds really weird, but if you know, you know, you know? But the strangest part was thinking about my relationship so much, about how I missed him and how I missed being with him. But that's kind of the power of manipulation in a way. You can know something's right and kind of still feel guilty for it, for leaving. I did at the beginning have a lot of shame and a lot of guilt for leaving. And, you know, you remember the worst moments and still mourn the version of him you wanted to exist or you thought existed. But unfortunately, it wasn't the truth. And this is where like I started realizing something, and I think more people need to hear it. Healing is not just about feeling better. It's about rewiring the lies you were taught to believe. Lies like, if it was really that bad, you wouldn't miss him. Strong people don't fall apart. I truly think the strongest people fall apart. You're only doing well if other people can see you're doing well. Those lies really keep you stuck, and untangling them is the real work of grief. But like, here's what no one tells you. Healing in public can make you feel like you have to brand your recovery. And I think that's so dangerous. Because the second you attach your worth to how, I guess, together you look, or like you keep telling yourself you're fine, you kind of stop telling yourself the truth. When you heal privately, you can actually have bad days without feeling like you're breaking the rules in some way. You can spiral without wondering who's screenshotting it in a way and sending it to their friends, because we've all done it. But, and also like, yes, sometimes sharing is so helpful. I obviously believe in that because I'm talking about it. I think it's so important to share and not be alone and have community. But you should never feel like your healing has to be like aesthetically pleasing or content worthy to be valid. Because the truth is, the boring days matter more than like the crazy flashy ones. The days when you just exist. Those don't really get the like attention or the love of it all. But that's kind of where that rewiring happens, or at least for me and what my therapist has told me. I'm also not a licensed therapist. This is just my thoughts and feelings. So please, please take my advice, but also I'm not trying to ruin your life in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know. You know when someone gives you advice and then at the end you go, yeah, but like, you know, do what you want, or like, I don't know. That's because you're scared if it doesn't work out for them, that they'll blame you. So please don't blame me. I'm just trying to give you my thoughts and my feelings, essentially. So I know this sounds cheesy in a way, but like, I kind of want to give whoever's listening to this like permission slips. Like, you know how we got permission slips when we were a child. And I'm not saying I may or may not have forged my parents' signature sometime, but I definitely did. But like, it's fine. I'm a grown adult now. But these permission slips are like things I wish someone kind of had given me in a way. So I have like 5 that I really think are helpful. So 1, you don't have to post about it. That means your progress doesn't need an audience, essentially, to be real. 2, you can miss them and still be done. Missing someone doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It honestly means you're human and you're grieving. You're allowed to have setbacks. Well, they shouldn't even be called setbacks, because like, you go 2 weeks without crying and then you're falling apart again. That's not a failure, it's grief. And like I've said, like, grief is not linear. 4, you don't have to be inspiring, holy shit, while you heal. I think this is really important, especially in the age of social media. But essentially, you're not a TED Talk, you're not an Instagram filter, but like, shout out Rio de Janeiro. Is that? Yeah, that's the Instagram filter. That's my internet girly kicking in. But you're a person. You're allowed to feel the way you feel. And, oh God, it almost rhymed. heal the way you heal. That's so horrible. And then this one was really difficult for me. But number 5, your healing timeline is not a competition. Nobody wins a prize for the most healed person in 5 months or a month or whatever. Everyone's healing is different. Like, you could get over it so fast, and that's incredible. I love that. But also, it could take you years, and that's also incredible. And I love that for you. You just have to fully process those feelings and emotions and talk about it with people. But like, you don't have to put on a show for anybody. But that like ugly stage is really where that like magic is. Unfortunately, it's the part where you're just, I guess, surviving, and you don't notice you're slowly getting stronger until you look back on it. It's honestly also the part that teaches you the most. How to self-soothe, or how to find comfort that isn't in him, or how to be, for me, less codependent, and how to not choose somebody who is a dependent who, you know, just takes and takes and takes. And also like how to be okay with being misunderstood, or like the villain in their story is really important as well. Like, that is the ugly stage in the process. So let your healing be uneven and let it be ugly. That's so fucked up to say, but it's true. But just like, let it be what you need it to be, and that's okay. So that's kind of it for this week of His Loss Hotline. If this episode hit for you, send it to your friends, please. Now instead of begging, I'm going to be threatening. Send it to your friends or post it on your story. Also, should I threaten the follow Girl Hang Up on Instagram and TikTok? That didn't sound like a threat. That more sounded like me struggling to talk. But yeah, follow us. We have some wisdom sometimes. We have memes all the time. And, you know, the spirals and the ugly stage of it all. We really put it out there for everyone to see, but whatever. But also, if you got a breakup story or a divorce story you want to share, you can send it anonymously. Annan for those Reddit people. I need to really get into Reddit, but I heard it's like, whew, it's crazy. But you can submit those at girlhangup.com. And I hope you really enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed kind of spilling everything that came out of my head, essentially. But new episodes every Tuesday. And always remember, it's his loss.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Goodbye.